Thank you for watching my American history notes, where I talk about my conclusions that I've drawn from studying American history. Um, I'm not a scholar, I'm just a regular person, but I certainly have enjoyed studying American history, and I've drawn certain conclusions. You might not agree with them, but you should know about the topics I discuss to be conversant in American history. So, we're going to read today, still reading from a paper that I wrote and published on academia.edu called Baptist Southerners' Accommodation with Slavery, a Study in Economics and Southern Notions of Honor, just to discuss the transition. Why did Baptists start out basically being opposed to slavery and then eventually arguing for it as a good thing? So we're going to discuss some things with that, some conclusions that I've drawn that you might not agree with, but at least you should study it. So I'm going to begin here. Let me just pull my paper up. Okay. Members of the Baptist faith tradition in the southern United States before the American Revolution were at times outspoken against the racial slavery that became prevalent in the colonies by the middle to late 17th century. Sometime in the era of the Revolution, as slave owners themselves began to be members of Baptist congregations, there was a change in attitude towards slavery. Slavery was a sure way to gain personal wealth and pass it on to one's descendants, so there was that pressure as well to acknowledge slavery as a political and social institution. The final pressure was the rise of virulent anti-Southern abolitionism, which played on the sense of Southern honor and self-esteem that characterized Baptists in the South as Southerners, putting them in a defensive posture and uniting them with the value system of the culture at large. These three factors, slaveholders and congregations, the powerful economic impulse, and the siege mentality forced by Northern abolitionism, all came together to turn Baptist views on slavery. An agent that was a grease for the wheel, so to speak, was the commonly accepted interpretation of the Bible, so important in the lives of early American Southern Protestants after the nation began, that justified slavery. Although this was not the cause of the change in attitude, it made the change in the view on slavery among Baptists acceptable and justified their holding of slaves. An additional agent of change was the structure of Baptist churches, which also made the change in attitude possible, but then was changed itself in the process. The paper, this, what I'm going to read to you, this paper is going to touch on how these three factors worked on the initial anti slavery belief among the Baptists and helped create the antebellum Southern defense of slavery, which was a primary factor in the buildup of the American Civil War. Um, and I've quoted from James Essex, The Bonds of Wickedness, American Evangelicals Against Slavery, 1770, 1808, and also John Leland, The Writings of the Late Elder John Leland, and that was published back in 1845. So we're going to discuss the literature that you would find about this topic next time, and then we'll go on from there to the more meat of it, of the topic itself. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll stay tuned next time.